Good morning, Illini. I'm Patch Gazzone.
And I'm Taylor Howard. It is Friday, March 12th, and it's great to have you with us.
Yes, Taylor, this is our first show together, I think, in 2 years. So
in 2 years, that's crazy. Well, there's a lot of stuff to cover in today's show, so let's take a look. First, we'll check out intramurals. Patrick, are you interested?
I'm very interested in intramurals this year. I definitely want to see what they got in store. Then we'll talk about how much the campus has changed in 1 year from COVID-19. A lot has changed in in-person classes.
A lot has changed, and we'll get to talk to a student who has 2 Grammy nominations to her name. And now let's check out our weatherman, Connor Seco, to see what it's feeling like outside.
Spring has almost sprung here in CU. It made it up to almost 70 degrees this past week, and it's looking like the nice weather is here to stay. It's about 50 degrees right now, and it's shaping up to be a beautiful day. I'll be back in a little bit for your full forecast.
Man, what a great day it is today. Now we'll go live to Amanda Brennan, who's at the Cranner Center for Performing Arts, to give us an update about this year's graduation.
Hey, Patrick, yes. Instead of graduating with their individual colleges and then all together at Memorial Stadium, the class of 2020 as well as the class of 2021 will have individual 15-minute time slots to walk across the stage at the Cranner Center for Performing Arts behind me here in Urbana.
According to a mass mail from Chancellor Jones earlier this week, both the class of 2020 and 2021 are invited to participate in a private stage crossing experience mid-May. Abby Hack, a senior studying global studies and history, will miss the camaraderie aspects of a traditional commencement celebration in Memorial Stadium, but is excited the university is still recognizing their hard work.
I think with it being in limbo for so long, there was this will they, won't they, will we have a whole ceremony, will there be nothing like the 2020 graduates had? I was really happy that they finally came to some decision, even if it wasn't necessarily what I wanted it fully.
Santhan Katragada graduated from U of I last year in computer engineering and feels that this is a great way to celebrate with his parents, even a year later.
Personally, I'm not super interested as far as going, but I know that my parents are, so I would sort of do it for them because graduation is sort of experience for my family too, because they've helped me get to where I am.
So here's what's important to note. The sign-up links are individualized and will be sent to their student Illinois emails sometime this mid-March. Guests are allowed 2 guests with them inside the facility for their graduation as long as they follow all proper CDC guidelines and, of course, wear a mask. The mass mail also stated that they plan to have an in-person event in Memorial Stadium for the class of 2020 and the class of 2021 as long as it is safe to resume in-person events. Reporting live at the Cranner Center for Performing Arts in Urbana, I'm Amanda Brennan. Back to you in the studio.
Yeah, this time last year I found out that I wasn't going to be able to cross the stage, so to know that in my graduate program I get to cross for last year and this year, it's worthwhile, and I'm so excited. Well, in other news, campus recreation has kicked off other sports besides basketball and volleyball. Tennis began this week at the outdoor play field on 1st and Gregory Avenue. While only students can register for single matches, they still have a chance to go out and play with what they missed in fall. Currently, the tennis season is underway, but students are still able to register if they have open sports.
I was just looking for a good way to get a good workout that's not in the gym, and I enjoy being out, and also meeting new people. So I think it's a great opportunity to do that.
And if you are interested in participating in intramurals, look out for soccer shootouts, swim meet, and running coming up next. And you can also have Patrick on your team.
Yeah, I tried signing up for volleyball, but unfortunately I ran out of time, so I couldn't do that. So there's plenty of other sports, though, luckily for me, to look into. Maybe you've seen it or haven't noticed it yet, but the university has some new trash cans around campus. Last week we announced the new disposable mask recycling bins on campus. This week they also added some new trash cans around campus. Some of them are located around the main quad and along Armory Avenue.
Are you into tech? Why not check out the Center for innovation in teaching and learning. The CITL is a tech hub, innovation studio, and virtual reality lab. Students can make 3D prints, experience a high-tech learning classroom, or test out VR experience. In order to visit the CITL, then make sure you have a reservation. And be sure to follow all COVID-19 protocols, wear a mask, and save a recent negative COVID test.
Last week, the university sent out a mass mail to students saying that they are confident that there will be more in-person classes for the upcoming fall semester. Although there will be more in-person classes offered, the university will still follow guidance from the Champaign-Urbana Public Health District, Illinois Department of Public Health, and the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, meaning that the face covering, regular testing, and contact tracing will still be in effect for students looking for the fall 2021 schedule on Monday, April 5th, and registration for classes will begin on Monday, April 19th. That's really exciting. I know I got to get together my what classes I'm going to be taking, but I've taken 3 in-person classes this year. I'm pretty lucky.
Yeah, you are pretty lucky. And, speaking of in-person classes and, having to adjust to the new normal, it has been 1 year since everything shut down around us due to COVID-19. With so much change happening to the university in the last year, students have found it pretty difficult to adapt. I talked to a student to hear about the struggle she has gone through.
Not being able to be in cultural centers and libraries and facilities like the Union really was a big shock, I think, to the student body overall.
It has been nearly 1 year since the university went entirely online due to COVID-19. Keena Preston is one student who struggled to adapt.
I was really hurt to learn that I wasn't going to be able to enter the facility again or be among other students again and with my colleagues. So it was really hurtful and a huge adjustment to make.
Things did begin to turn around in July when the university announced plans to make the university safer with less interaction. Robert Kaler explained how quickly the plans came together.
And so they were working on that. They very quickly, within 6 weeks, came up with their saliva test, which is pretty amazing.
The saliva test that was developed by the university has facilitated over 1.5 million tests to date. Sanitization, testing sites, and social distancing was also enforced. Because of the adjustments, Kaler said the university is moving forward with more in-person classes and events next fall.
And being very mindful until we can get a critical mass of people vaccinated. And then also doing everything we can to help facilitate vaccinations for students.
Even though Preston is graduating this spring, she expressed the importance of students to continue to take precautions seriously.
The virus out here that is killing people and harming people and debilitating people. So it is something that we all need to take serious, and I hope that everyone continues to wear their mask and gets vaccinated and has safe practices.
While nothing is set in stone, one thing for sure is Kaler wants to encourage Illini students to fight on.
We are just so proud of our students, who by and large have done exactly what we've asked them to do and clearly are thinking of not just themselves, but thinking of their classmates, their teachers, everybody who works here.
Yeah, interviewing Keena, I definitely empathized with adjusting to online learning. It was very difficult at first, but we prevailed.
Yeah, it certainly has been a difficult year, but much of this past year has been spent indoors. Good Morning Illini Sabrina Lee took a closer look at what skills UIUC students picked up during lockdown.
1 year ago, the country went into lockdown, and our world was turned upside down. Suddenly, we were taking classes online, internships were being canceled, and many of us were left wondering, now what? For senior Fatima Castillo, the boredom drove her to pick up her crochet hooks for the first time since she was 11 years old.
And I remember being like, this is like halfway through like the summer, so I was like, I'm bored. And then I was like, I want to do something with my hands. And so I remembered that we had that stuff in the closet, and I was like, I kind of want to pick it back up again. And I got into that and also knitting again. And I was like, I never actually made a garment, like a piece of clothing. I've always made like scarves, literally only scarves. And I was like, I want to actually make something that I can wear. And this was the first thing that I like crocheted for like a piece of clothing, and it was really exciting for me.
Crocheting and knitting aren't really my thing. I definitely prefer something sweet. Some people thoroughly enjoyed their time in lockdown. Senior Alexander Bay picked up a number of new hobbies, including DJing, jewelry making, playing chess, and bartending.
I'd say that I benefited greatly from lockdown. It did wonders for me. The beginning of quarantine, my friend and I bought a bartending class online for cheap. We found it on Groupon and thought to ourselves, hey, we can't go out to bars anymore, might as well make the most of our time experimenting indoors. When it comes to bartending in the state of Illinois, you have to get a license, or at least you have to take a class that basically tells you, hey, don't let drunk people drive, don't black people out, just, watch out for customers, your do's and don'ts, being a responsible bartender.
And I know during lockdown I've had some time to try and play guitar. I've tried picking it up a little bit, but I haven't been able to get it down quite enough yet.
I feel like I've picked up a hobby. I can cook now, which is something that I've never been able to do. So, chicken parmesan is my thing. If you ever need some, I got you.
I will be over soon. I promise you that.
Alrighty, I'll hold you to it. You can get the ingredients though. You can buy it.
Okay, there we go.
Well, we've looked at COVID over the past year and how it has affected people. But what about 1 year in the future? GMI's Roberto Giles Sanchez went on the quad and asked students, about what they think the university will look like in 1 year.
Good morning, Illini. It's Humberto Giles Sanchez at the University of Illinois, asking students, is the university in a better place this time than it was last year? And will the university be in a much better place this time next year? Let's go find out what they have to say. You think this year the university is doing a lot better than it was last year?
Yes and no. I know that they're putting a lot more stringent restrictions this semester, which is good in a sense, and also I think that we're actually doing a lot better this semester in terms of COVID. So.
You think it'll probably be better next year than this year?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think they sent out a mass mail the other day, saying that it's probably gonna be more in person next year. I mean, especially with the National Health Services, Dr. Fauci saying everything's probably gonna go back to normal. By the end of the year, I think we're definitely gonna be in a better place.
Some students can agree that the university is in a much better place now than it was last year. And they are optimistic that next year, the university will be in an even much better place. It's Humberto Giles Sanchez at the University of Illinois, signing off.
When I spoke to the Associate Chancellor, she talked about potential having vaccination sites on campus. So hopefully that will push for having more in-person classes and more in-person events. Patrick, you will be here next year, so what do you anticipate?
I'm really excited because it's crazy because I feel like the campus has kind of been almost dead in the past year, and I'm kind of excited to just see people walking to class. It's just something that I kind of took for granted, just how big the school is and how many people it is. So I'm really looking forward to that, walking to class and seeing a lot of people out. During the summer, students activists created a community food pantry. Now there are several all around Champaign. UI7's Mariah Guzman took an inside look at where these pantries originated and the city council meeting that discussed the potential for their removal.
They got them some good stuff today. We got fruit cups, good stuff right here.
If you're passing through downtown Champaign, you might miss something.
It runs off Neal Street this way, North Neal, but we always tell people on Neal Street, off of Chester.
Justin Hendricks is one of the co-founders of the various pop-up food pantries around Champaign.
With the pantries, we want to fight against food insecurity, especially right now during the pandemic. There's a food desert. So we created this pantry, and we created a lot of noise and attention, and it was fulfilling the community.
The idea started with an uneven shelf, and with more support from the community, it turned into a full pantry.
And see restock in the shop.
Not too long after, Hendricks said the city asked for the pantry's removal. It was then placed on 102 North Neal Street. Champaign council members met on Tuesday night to discuss food insecurity, and the pantries being up to city code were a part of the discussion. One council member shared her thoughts on the usefulness of the meeting.
I think that is a very, very
wasteful use of city resources and city time.
And many members of the Champaign community called in support of keeping the pantries.
Should not move any of the pantries or remove them. That shouldn't even be on the table for consideration.
Mayor Finan tried to clear what the intention for the study session was.
The motives were about trying to make a difference on an issue that clearly is at the forefront of not only council's concerns, but also the public's concerns.
Hendricks says keeping these pantries is about keeping a sense of community.
We're losing humanity day by day that we're not able to combine and come together to provide small, simple services such as this.
Regardless of potential obstacles, community aid will remain the goal for pantry volunteers. Mariah Guzman, UI7 Live.
Champaign City Council members came to the conclusion that they will continue to suspend enforcement of the city code on 4 of the 7 mini pantries, at least during the ongoing pandemic. And what a great thing to do for the community, just give some food. I know I'm sure we've seen the mini libraries, but this is a much more useful thing just to add food to kind of that kind of way of, giving out food and stuff. So that was great.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. But now let's go back to our weather anchor Connor Seco for what it will be feeling like this weekend.
Week that we had, and you're looking for a chance to get outside and do some outdoor activity, it'll be a prime opportunity to do that this weekend. We're looking at partly cloudy skies and mid to high humidities, but it should be pretty comfortable across the board. I figure since it's such a nice weekend, I'd wrap the weather instead of just saying it. Now, this is the weather, just sit right there. I'll tell you all about the temperature up in the air. Here in Urbana, it's a sunny day with a high of 58 and a low of 36. If you plan to go out, gonna need a light coat. I don't know, go to a farm and say hi to a goat. Saturday is looking cloudy, but still pretty nice with a high of 56 and a low of 39. Sunday's feeling glum and a little bit wet, but it's got a high of 55 and a low of 33. Word. Back to you guys.
Word. Well, we're going to take a quick break, but coming up next, we're going to go to State Farm Center to hear about the Big Ten basketball tournament, Indianapolis, and a preview for tonight's game.
I hear someone go, "Didn't it come from you guys?"
Strangers cough at me.
Move away from me.
Someone spit towards my direction. All the stereotypes that we've worked so hard to break are just going to be reversed. And I won't let that happen.
We all have to play our part.
I donate my plasma.
I've been making masks.
We deserve respect as much as everybody else.
I'm a firefighter, not a virus.
I'm a mask maker, not a virus.
I'm a nurse.
I'm a delivery woman, chef, a neighbor, artist.
Bus driver.
I'm a doctor.
Fight the virus. Fight the virus.
Roll over.
Chance high five. All right.
When you adopt a shelter pet, you discover all the things that make them unique. And your mother and... I am totally a hot person. Right, guys? Thanks for being honest. They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love. Adopt pure love at theshelterpetproject.org.
It all can get so out of control. Sometimes you can lose your faith, you can lose your mind, lose your grip, get stripped of your pride till you don't know how you're gonna stay alive. Hey, hey, I got you. I will give you what you need, and I'll be right there. I got you back. I got you.
welcome back. Postseason college basketball has begun, and the Big Ten men's and women's basketball tournaments are happening in Indianapolis right now. And Good Morning Illini's Brad Zimmerman is live with the details. Brad?
Patrick, it's been a strange season, but we're finally here. It's mid-March, and our Illini basketball teams are competing in the Big Ten tournaments. Earlier this week, the 12-seeded Illini women defeated Wisconsin in the opening round of their tournament, but lost to Northwestern in the second round. Their season is unfortunately over, but this was only the second time in the last decade they made it to the second round, so that's worth celebrating. Meanwhile, the 2-seeded Illini men start their postseason tonight against Rutgers at 5:30, and they're ready for a long stay in the state of Indiana.
We've been playing for a lot all year, and we've accomplished a great deal. We've got a lot more to go.
Regardless of how the team does this weekend in the Big Ten tournament, they are all but guaranteed a spot in March Madness, and I can't wait. Reporting from State Farm Center, I'm Brad Zimmerman. Back to you, Patrick.
I'm with you, Brad. It's an exciting time of year here, March in Champaign. Before we take a look at the upcoming Illini Sports Night, the men's basketball team had a send-off yesterday before they traveled to Indianapolis for the big tournament. A look at what will be on this upcoming Illini Sports Night show. They will be discussing all things basketball with the Big Ten tournament coming to an end for men's and women's teams, and the NCAA tournament right around the corner. There's much to discuss. Tune in to hear some tournament analysis and bracket predictions to kick off March Madness. And remember to tune in to Vimeo on Tuesday night at 9 p.m. to watch the show. It should be a really good one. I'm really excited to talk about some Illini basketball. It's an exciting time of year.
And speaking of competitions and awards, one of U of I students is being recognized on a big scale. Let's take a listen. Senior Sophia Bird. The solo you just heard is from a musical production called Place, written by Saul Williams and Ted Hearn. Place has been nominated for 2 Grammy Awards. The show is up for the Best Chamber Music, Small Ensemble Performance, and Best Contemporary Classical Composition. Now we'll send it to Perry Apostolakos and hear her conversation with Bird.
Good morning, Illini. I am here with Sophia Bird today. She is kind enough to be joining us from Urbana. Sophia, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for asking. So Sophia has been involved in a lot of different musical endeavors since she has joined the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, but perhaps one of the most influential or important has been Place, which is about the gentrification of a Brooklyn neighborhood, and it has been nominated for 2 Grammy Awards. Sophia, did you expect Place to garner all this critical acclaim when you first got involved with the project, or was this a surprise to you?
I would say maybe it was 75% a surprise, 25%, I mean, every single person involved in the project they're some of the most talented people I've ever gotten the chance to work with, and Ted and Saul really created something beautiful. So I believed in the project. I don't know that I knew that it would get this much recognition, but I knew it was special.
So since being in Place, it is a bit heavier of subject matter. It's about the gentrification of a Brooklyn neighborhood. It touches on themes of racism. So how has your worldview maybe changed since becoming involved with the project?
Yeah, that's a good question. I have always been pretty politically active. I started organizing protests when I was like 16 in Chicago. So that's always kind of been a focal point for me. I think what made this project different was that Ted, who is a white man, decided to use his platform in a way that people of color, a person of color who is composing probably couldn't, and used his privilege to share this message with a largely white audience. And I think being able to look out on those faces as I'm singing this masterpiece made me realize that I'm no longer interested in making art that doesn't matter. I really think art that isn't making change and creating a platform to seek out justice is not really worth doing.
Definitely. So have you seen some tangible change, or have you maybe had a conversation with an audience member back when you could perform this piece live that made you really think, wow, we've touched people with this project?
Yeah, there's this number. I have a very specific memory when we premiered it at BAM Next Wave Festival. There's a song in the show that is called What About My Son? And it has everybody on stage is asking, we're talking about all of these things that happened to your kids, and like they didn't get to see their birthday balloons. But what about my son who can't maybe walk down the street without fear of police brutality? And I made eye contact with this older woman in the audience. She was probably in the third row during this song. And we just had a moment together, and I had to go find her after the show because there was just something in her eyes and we really connected. And it's such a privilege to be able to watch people's minds change and watch their perspective shift because of the art that you're performing.
Oh, absolutely, it does. Thank you so much for joining us today, Sophia. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but thank you for sharing your story with us, and congratulations on being involved in Place and being in an ensemble that has been nominated for 2 Grammy Awards, and enjoy the rest of your semester. Thank you so much for joining us.
If you want to tune in and see if Place will win, the Grammys will be on this Sunday at 7 p.m.
April showers might bring May flowers, but March brought the university some high-tech weather tracking equipment. Good Morning Illini, Scarlett O'Hara has the forecast.
In February, the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences announced students studying meteorological phenomena were about to take the research world by storm. Well, the time has come, and so has a fleet of 8 vehicles containing X-band and C-band radars. Training and data collection is already underway for students in the Department of Atmospheric Sciences, where a mobile Doppler radar facility arrived earlier this week. According to the department head Robert Trapp, this is quite an upgrade for students, who may be used to using handheld thermometers and weather balloons for collecting data.
Another reason why we're excited about this with the students is that often the students see sort of the final product of data, so data that have been collected by someone else, and they really have no idea how and what went into the data collection.
Doppler on Wheels is a sophisticated facility used by meteorologists to track extreme weather patterns like tornadoes and hurricanes. Trapp hopes that in the future, this unique equipment can also be used to educate others outside the school at community events like state fairs. Until then, they will be available for graduate and undergraduates for class use and spontaneous research.
Yeah, so we're definitely one of the only universities, especially in the Midwest here, that has a large fleet of mobile radars now. So that's a really exciting, unique opportunity.
Students have noted TV shows like Storm Chasers use weather data collected from Dow fleets. This may be yet another incentive to take advantage of the Dows, in addition to potentially making students more marketable.
And they use the Dows in that show all the time, and I found it so cool how they were driving around in these Dows collecting all this data. So I'm just excited to be able to do that in person because I grew up watching it, you know.
Plans for a future trip to the southeast states are in the works. The goal is to better understand tornado formation. The National Science Foundation and NOAA will be supporting the team. If you see these trucks driving around, check your weather app. There may be some hail or thunderstorms on the way.
Well, that's all the time we have for the show today.
Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for more content. Go to ui7live.com/WP. Although,
Good morning, Illini.